It's April 29th, Saturday, 2023, and this is the weekend webinar. Well, as you can see from looking at a quick look at the S&P 500, it's set back from last November where we hit our all-time high at 48.08, actually December 30th. Market came down in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, and now has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave advance, smaller one, but it could be the first wave in a much larger advance or the end of it. At this point, the fifth wave may not have been completed, but resistance is at 41.95 to 4,200. We get through that. I'm looking for 43, 30, 50 range up there, and maybe it could press to 44, 90 to 4,500 in that area. We'll see. Right now, key support would be last week's low at 40.49 and the 50-day moving average at 40.33. Keep those in mind. The NASDAQ 100 looking good with a triple bottom breakout of the declining tops line after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave advance and a couple retests. Broke out, ran up to resistance, backed off in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline that met the trend line and near the 50 and bounced sharply, reversing, taking the market from NASDAQ from under 12,000 to over 13.2, 1,200 point advance, and then a 1, 2, 3 wave corrective type flag. By Wednesday, the market had bounced, bottoming Tuesday for the week at 12.724, and then finishing at 13.245. More than 500 points advance, and a breakout to close at the highest level since August of last year. Now, up ahead of us looms the highs at 13.6. That would be a target potentially. Last week's low, 12.724, would be something to watch. There's also a little mini gap there. Beneath that, you have 12.5, 12,500, with the 50-day at 12,600. So the support in the 12,700 and then 5 to 600 range would be the key. Your targets are 13.6 and then 14.2. The problem is the transportation IWM just aren't anywhere near the same. And you can see this declining top line has not been taken out, neither has lateral resistance or the 50 for the transportation index. Now, they did have a sharp drop back down to test support and then bounced Thursday and Friday. But right now, the juxtaposition of resistance around 14.4 to 14.6 in that zone, that 200-point zone, is what it needs to be taken out to confirm and get a Dow theory forecast confirmation. When I step back and look at this overall pattern, it looks like a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and that's troublesome. But we've often seen these patterns develop into wedges and then break to the upside. At this point, this is what you have to pay attention to. That's the key level. Under 13.4, we have a problem. Small caps aren't exactly participating like large caps, that's for sure. You can see they ran up a few times into that 179 range, couldn't get through. There's also a declining 50-day and backed off. Now, we may have made a higher low, but under 170 is a problem. That's support. Next support is 167.5. Beyond that, the test would be 162.5, 3, right there. So what we really need to see, if we get up 179, 9.5 on the IWM and the transportation index takes out 14.6, we have a bull phase and a big one. As it is, NASDAQ and S&P looks much better, as you know. Look at the NDX highest level since August, along with the S&P highest level since February. Not quite. We need to get this to 4,200 basically. Now look at the underlying indicators. The McClellan oscillator bounced from a negative, at the lowest we've seen in a month, a negative 116 rating, and closed plus 11. Pretty neutral for right now, which means it's neither overextended, overbought, or extreme, nor complacent and oversold. So let's keep that in neutral. Now, what about the percentage of stocks over their 40-day moving average? This little double bottom pop and platform is very bullish in terms of the overall indexes. And you see when we headed here and we headed here, that advanced up in that zone. So I'm still looking for more on the upside on the market, and this to get up to 75 to 83 before we get to an extreme overbought position. Now, if that gets there, and the oscillator gets up to plus 200 roughly, then we got a much more overbought market. And you need to consider lightning positions are adding to your protection. Not for now, though. Let's look at the VIX, which has been apathetic for a long time. The VIX got slam dunked on Friday from 1765 down to 1572 and closed pennies off that, down about 7.5%. And then the lowest close in the VIX, look at this, since back in November of 21. That's a year and a half low on VIX. So the market volatility is an extreme fear is nowhere near the market. Matter of fact, apathy and the levels down here around 12 to 14 is what would be needed. We may get there pretty quickly before we get a much more apathetic type market, meaning potentiality for a pullback. Okay, let's move on to some of the major components. And here's the way Apple looks like, really strong. If you take a look at the short-term pattern, the close of 169.59 was the highest close since August also. So we have 8 and 9 month highs on Apple. Google is the highest level also since September. As you can see, this is, well, we've got multiple highs. It's just above here, let's say that. Resistance is 109.9.5, but your support is about 103.5. There. So we're in a flag pattern, kind of a box pattern, but coming off of a triple bottom up to resistance and forming that pattern is kind of a platform. Very bullish chart. And if Google should get over 109.9.5, that could really be a trigger for the market with targets at 112, 118, and 123. Amazon, well, it had good and bad days. It certainly had an island reversal there, which caused that pullback where we made a higher low. We run up in a rising kind of a channel pattern. Here's what we're seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. So you can see we hit the channel top and backed off. And I think short-term support is about 102.5, and 99.5 is the big number. If we break that, look out below. But if we can get it back over 111, and I think we're headed to 115, 19, and 22. Microsoft had a big day on Friday. And the last 3 days have been huge ever since the earnings report. The day before the earnings report, it closed at 275. Friday, it closed at 307. 32 points, about a 13-15% run up in Microsoft. Also taking it across those rising bottom lines, and even across the short-term one. So is it short-term extended? Probably, but there's multiple tops and resistance up at 315.16. So watch for that early next week because it may cause a pullback. Should Microsoft get to that, then you're looking back at the 335.40 range, and that would be huge for the market in terms of upside influence. Netflix has been kind of a laggard of late. It's had such a big run last year. The big run took it from like 165.70 up to 365.70. Then the pullback, the pop, and now this. What it looks like to me now is a large wedge is formed. Take a look. Over the last 3 months, that key support is right there, no question. Stop on Netflix is under 315.16. The upside targets now are retest at 349.50. And should you get through that, you're looking back to 375.80. Pretty impressive. But do not let Netflix roll under 316. That's where it starts to get real dicey. Meta has been a powerhouse all year. And look at this pop-up breakaway gap again. Now this stock has gone from 88 to 240 just since November. Very impressive move for a large cap stock. Very. Where can I go now? Well, there is some resistance at this gap right there. Let's call it 248, and we're just about 9 points from that. So let's see what it does there, and whether or not it wants to gap fill or not. But very, very impressive long-term move. NVIDIA just as well. Powerhouse move from the October low. NVIDIA traded at 108 back then and recently reached 280. What a move that's taken. 1, 2, and this is a big 3. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this could be wave 4 and a rising flag. And if that's the case, this could spike into the 325 area. I would say close tabs on Netflix under 250 would be my stop. See the moving average there as well? at 254, so maybe stop it on a 250, 53, 54, something like that. Nevertheless, I'm targeting 3 1/4 powerhouse move. And Tesla, well, it bounced last week, and I'm not seeing as much as the others. I would much rather not be in Tesla, but it did hold near this gap and bounced, but I wouldn't say strongly so. So careful. Key resistance on Tesla going forward is near 170, and the gap fill 177.5. Those are the numbers for next week. And that's a quick look at some of the big boys, the NASDAQ 100 generals that we follow closely. Now look at some of the ETFs and the major groups like semiconductors, SMH, right down to the trend line above lateral price support, but underneath the moving averages, getting it down to 237 from a high of 263, only to rebound back to 247. Now this declining top line and lateral price resistance around 248, 9 zone is resistance. We get through that, you're looking at 255, 57 again, and maybe as high as 261 too. That's what we're watching for SMH for leadership. But I'll also point out that since the low in October, it has had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, but I can't tell for sure because this could be 1, 2, and this could be 1, 2, 3, 4 of 3, excuse me, 4 of 3, meaning that we have a fifth coming, whether it's a fifth wave or the fifth of a third. And I don't know if that's confusing to you, but that's the terminology. So we're hopeful that the SMH is participating and are leading. The financials recovering nicely. We'll see what happens on Monday with FRC, which closed $1.50 after hours. Really a disaster. They're going to be in receivership and they're going to be dissolved or distributed, I should say. 65 is resistance on AFAS. And declining moving average is 64.70. So somewhere between 64.75 and 65. We popped through that, we got up to 68 and even 70 or better. And last week's low is really critical in my mind at 56.90, 57. Keep an eye on that, and we'll see. Now, what about biotechs? Well, big recovery off that big February, March pullback on the XBI, for example, went going from 72 to 83, and then pulling back, but a nice bounce on Friday. And if you're looking at the lower priced LABU, not quite as strong, and you can see where resistance is on this one. If LABU gets above 610, I'm very optimistic about it running into the 7, 7.5, 8.5, 9 zones up in that area. Well, we shall see. And the low on Friday is kind of important. 513, I would say stop under 5. I don't want it back down in that 4.5 or less range. But LAB is not acting as well as XBI of late, so I've switched my focus on the XBI for the biotech group, the FAS for financials, and the SMH for the semiconductors. Now look at some of the ETFs for the major groups like gold and silver. You can see that although I said gold looks like it could pull back from lateral price resistance and the top of the channel, it is basically a 1, 2, 3, and waves 4 is on the way. Now I don't know how long it lasts. It could last for another 3, 4, 5 weeks, but eventually I'm looking for this to extend to 38 and 41 on the GDX. Looking at the NUGT and JNUG, which I follow closely. Same thing here with a 1, 2, 3, and the wave 4 could be just a bull flag or it could be extended. Key support around 40. Near-term support 43. Certainly resistance is about 50, 51 as a target. Secondary target is 61. JNUG similar, with targets at 47, 51, and 57. That's it on the gold sector. I'm not seeing silver as strong yet, but I do like the AGQ because it's really been muted pullback. And so far, it looks like a bull flag. And if that's a 1, 2, then 3 could be huge. So once he gets above 36, we might see 43, 44, 45, if the angle is correct. And you can see lateral price resistance at 46. So somewhere up there will be my next leg high target, AGQ. Oil. Well, the USO pulled back from what like I thought it might because there's a triple, quadruple top there at about 72 and change, and it pulled back to 65. The key support right now appears to be 63.5 in that area. So we'll have to see what the market does with this one. It might be a V-bottom right hand extension or a large inverse head and shoulders cup and handle, whatever you want to call it. The key is it needs to get above 72 and or under 63 would be a retest of 58 or worse. Looking at the long-term chart, wouldn't shock me if we even went down as high as 48. That's my ultimate goal for the USO. We'll see if oil is going to stay positive or not. Right now, there's a long down channel that's taken it from the June high of 92 all the way down to the low of 58. Pretty big drop, folks. And the GUSH, if we follow closely, which is a double bottom V, ran up to resistance and they're declining tops lines, moving averages, and backed off. Only to bounce again. So this is going to get back. The resistance right now is 126 and 136. Eventual targets 155 and 168.70. That's if oil makes the move up. The stop on this one is going to be under 110. Secondary stop under 100. So that's a look at the indices, some of the underlying technicals, the NASDAQ 100 generals, and several of the ETFs we follow closely. A lot of stocks to cover. Let's go through them. I'll go through some charts at the end. Alphabetically, ACHV. Look at that chart. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how far they take this, but the angle of ascent says this could be $11. Currently 8.45. Nice momentum. Good chart. Good technicals. ACLX, which has been on my list for a long time, is a top 20 pick, I believe. Let me check that. It is indeed. Has broken out to new highs. It reached a new 52-week high earlier at 44.65. Looking like this could be 50, 55, 60 or more. AEHR with a technical breakdown. I want everyone to note that. I also noted when it break gap below the 50 and then formed the bear flag, that would look ominously dangerous. And sure enough, it accelerated from 31.2 all the way back down to 24.5 again. ALDX, also one of my top 25 picks. Maybe not. Let me double check that. No, it's not, but it's one of my swing trades. You can see how good it looks. It did pull back recently. The resistance is 11. The target is 13. AMAM with a big pop coil. This one lateral and bullish, but it's got to get above 12, 12 and a quarter to get it going. It wouldn't be a shock to me if this did that. It's somewhat thin, but it can scoot, targeting 16, 22, and 25 or more, maybe even 30. But one step at a time. Let's wait to see if it pops. APLS swing, when it broke out, we put a swing on. It's gone from the mid 70s into the $90 range. 90, 80, 68 was tagged, and then it pulled back. Holding support and bouncing on Friday. Still looking for 95, 105, etc. Apps, well, not doing what I wanted to, but it's at least holding for now. But I don't want this under the VWAP, excuse me, under the 50. 11.5 is my stop, and it's right there, 11.73, and really not performing the way I wanted to do it. And in addition to that, there's a gap at 13.5. Careful. APYX, nice recovery, in particular Friday when it spiked up. One of the biggest volumes since February. Need to get to 380, your target's then 5.5. ARDX, fabulous low price stock. In June of last year was 49 cents. A week and a half ago, it tagged 5.13, more than tenfold. Now, forming a consolidation in that zone that looks bullish, with a target now of 6 and 7. Arrowhead with a breakaway with a pop flag above the moving averages, and then the breakaway gap, and now another flag. My target, 41, 48. Could be a swing. ATLX, powerful move. I think this was a reverse split, but ever since then, it coiled, popped, coiled, and it's running. The angle of ascent calls for a move to maybe 50, 52. That's my target. Atamera, big pop on Thursday. We put a swing on it. Beautiful follow through Friday, up another $1 for 15%. I like it. There is some resistance at 846. We reached 820 and backed off to 797. But I think it has a shot, and a good shot, at 9 and 9 3/4 short term. We'll see. AU, my favorite gold, and one of the best patterns in the gold sector with the 1, 2, 3 up to the channel, but it's flagging beautifully. I'm not sure how powerful it is or how much it can go before it pulls back or needs to. Love to see an entry opportunity near 23.5 and then a move to 31.35. AUPH, steady rising channel, now at the apex of a coil. The pop is going to be 13.30. That's my first target, and then up in the high teens. AVDL, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up early on from the low of last May when it was trading under $1 or at $1. Yeah. And from that level, it went up to 7.5 for a 7-fold increase. And then a long consolidation, moved back up to a new high. You can see the rising channel. It's a slow rising channel. And now coming through the double triple top. Friday was a good day for it. Looks like targets are 11.25, 13.5, 14.75. BCLI, nice little low price biotech with a nice base, breakout, and wedge. Take a look at it. Keep an eye on this one. The move above 335.40 could get you to 4.25 or half or more. BTO, the Bitcoin realm has really improved. This one came out of a base with a breakaway. Got up to resistance in the gap here and back way off, breaking support, and then boom, turned right around. Now it's flagging. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. A fifth wave target is 21. Bluebird Corp in the automotive sector. Inverse head and shoulder breakaway retest, breakaway gap, went up to the target, pulled back in a nice orderly falling wedge. I don't think it's done yet. Next target, retest 22.3, 25, and 30. CABA, from September when it was trading at penny 61 cents to February at 12.82, an incredible 20-fold increase. Now the pullback, which is normal after such a big run, is then morphed into a coil. But Friday, it popped out. I'm now looking for a retest of the high quickly, maybe early on Monday. And then your target is 16. So 13 and 16 are your targets going forward on CABA. CBAY almost as strong. With a run up in 5 ways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a coil. There's your breakout. Run up, strong surge, rising channel, targeting 13.5. CDLX exploded out of a long downtrend. Look at this. Stock was 200 and what? I'm wrong. 160, all the way down to 2.5. Amazing. Breakaway gap, runs up near resistance right there, backs off. Holding the 21-day moving average and trying to bounce. This needs to get above 7.75, 8. If it does, your target's 10 and better. CERT in the biotech sector. Beautiful turnaround here. Moving averages crossed over, the stock pulled back and coiled. A perfect setup. It's wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but the 5th wave consolidation is on the way. This one, I feel, if it breaks through the double triple top, is going to be trading in the high 20s. Swing trade CGNT popped, and now it's got a beautiful flag. Measure move alone tells me about $1.65 or 5.65 in that area is your target. Beyond that, 6.5. Nice base, nice breakout, nice flag. CLSK similar, long downtrend. Pops and pulls back, forms a coil, and then breaks out of it. It goes vertical and pulls back to test. Note it's right near the prior highs in here. That's support. If it holds that wedge, your next target is 7. Cocoa. The Vita Cocoa Company has been a phenomenal rising channel since the November pullback low when it spiked down to 7.39 and now tripled to 22.48. Beautiful rising channel, intact. Looking for 25. Cody's been on fire all year from 6.25 to 12.65. Beautiful overall target overall trend. And now I'm targeting 13.5 and 15. CRBP exploded, pulled back. This was a nice entry opportunity, and then it exploded again and reversed. The corrective move appears to be a falling wedge here on low volume in an orderly fashion. I believe it's got more to go. A retest of 12.5 and then 16, 18 might be a way to go on this one. CRSP popped out. We put a swing on it. It followed through for 1 day and then pulled back for a 2-week flag or falling wedge. As long as it holds 47, 7.5, I'm good with it. The targets are 55, 58, and 64. Now we come to the AI stock CXAI, which exploded and went vertical from $1.25 to near 20. Pulled back, popped, and then backed off for 2 days. But look at Friday. It exploded back up to 1764, only to pull back 6 points. Very difficult to tell what these are going to do, and obviously something to watch, but very volatile. DraftKings swing looking better. It pulled back for a few days to test the breakout point moving averages, but Friday was a good day for it, up almost $1 or nearly 5%. Getting up, and this is one of the highest closes we've seen. Your target 25 and 30. DRS, I wanted to show you this one. Not public too long, but a beautiful spike up. First of all, the big reversal day, the sharp run up that took this one from 1080 in just a week and a half to get it up to 15 and change, and now the beautiful flag. I think it goes higher. Let's say another 4 points and another to about 18 and a half in that range. My target is up there. Keep an eye on this one. In the gold sector, EGO has been a strong performer. It's actually made a nominal high on Friday, which is usual because gold has been pulling back. So when gold does make a move, if it makes a move, I'm looking for 13, 14. ELEV exploded, pulled back, formed kind of a coil. Moving average came up, and from that level, it popped on Wednesday, exploded actually. 168 to 339 on 13 million shares, then a 2-day pullback. I like to look at this. I got a feeling it's going to stair step its way higher. My next target is to retest at that level at 460, and then maybe 6 3/4. But we'll be looking to see what this can do going forward. Alpha and Alpha has just been amazing. I just keep showing this chart because when you get a stock that reverses and starts an uptrend, you just never know how far it's going to go. So just keep raising your stops. What a beauty. Next target, 110. ETNB, a strong junior biotech that formed a coil along the moving average and broke out there. Pulled back and wedge, popped, retested, filled the gap. Wedge, flag, you can see it back one after another, and here another little flag or falling wedge with a target now, 21, 22. How about EYEN, breaking out of a base, formed a wedge and held the 50 and then went vertical from 2.5 to 540 with a target now of 6 1/4. First Solar was one of the best stocks on the board for a long time. Literally went from last June's low of 61 to 220 some odd. The high being 221.88. This week on earnings, it got crushed. It did bounce back sharply on Friday. Got down to 170, closed 183, 13 points off the low. So let's see if that's an important low. And that managed to fill the gap in here. So maybe, but it's a broken stock for now. Fastly broke out. We put a swing on it and ran up from the flag and ran up again. Met my targets now a 3-wave corrective pullback. Looking to me like if it bounces here, the targets are 18 and 21. Careful though. The Bitcoin moving, the GBT Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has been phenomenal. Breaks out there. It's a 1-2, and this is a 3. Wave 4 is being developed right now. Not sure how long it lasts, but the 5th wave target is 21. GE has been unreal since the base breakout around the 64 range. It's made it up to over 100. It's still going with the target now at 115. GFAI and the other AI stock in the orderly constructive pullback, but what a move. Let's just say it started at 484 and within a week was 36.90, maybe a week and a half. Still, the orderly retrace has me thinking we need to keep a close tab on this one. It looks like support. Is 13 and 10, so stay tuned. What we really want to see is first for it to get above 19 with energy, then maybe it takes off. Retest the high. Let's go targets at 25 and 30, 35. Barrick Gold, one of my other favorite golds, but it hasn't done quite what AU has. Nevertheless, the run up to the high and the pullback orderly. It gets to the double top. I can see 22.3. HEAR, beautiful triple bottom base breakout and little flag. Something to keep an eye on. Looks juicy. 13 and 15 are targets. HIMS has been phenomenal. since it broke out and flagged right there in January at around 7. Currently, after spiking up to 12, pull back and form the platform where it broke out. Mini wedge forming, target 15. One of my top 20 picks for the year is Harrow, and you can see how wonderful this has been since last May when it went 5.5, and it's gone quintupled to over 25, over 26, targeting 30 and 35. IFRX exploded, pulled back orderly, and now it's been going sideways and quarter. But Friday it tried to pop. Keep an eye on this one for next week because I got a feeling you're going to see this over 5, and if you do, it could be 6, 7, and above. AHS, wonderful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way movement now on a rising flag or pennant. My target is 10 and 11.5 on momentum. IMZN with a big pop on Friday, 19 million shares, up 26.6%. Very strong and looking like an extension would be 6.5. That's your next target. IMBT, one of my top picks of the year, real strong move until January when most biotechs had to pull back. Looks like it's trying to break out here. Watch this one next week over 16.5. I think if this line is taken out there, this could really run. Targeting 18 and 20. IoT pulled back and went underneath the trend line and moving average. I'm concerned about it. It's the tech-traded swing that needs to be stopped under 17.25. ISEE is a tech-traded swing, and alongside it, it popped and broke out. We put a swing out. It's been nothing but up since then. Beautiful chart. 33, targeting 35 and 40. Mara, another Bitcoin-related stock. 1, 2, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need a 5th wave for wave 3 to complete at 15, 16. MGNX, long consolidation. This is a tech-traded swing here, but it's taken months and months to develop. If it gets above 7.75, I will look for 9.5 and 12. NYCB, obviously, one of the few banks that have done phenomenal after getting slam dunked, and they found out that they're going to be the acquirer of some of the assets. I think it was SVB. So popped and quote for about 6 weeks. Then Friday was a monster day for it. As it reported a really good earnings report. It was up $1.44, 50%. It is at resistance here. The next targets are 12, 13.5. OI, formerly Owens, Illinois. Really beautiful stair step move out of the base. And now for about 3 months, it's been consolidating in a box pattern or a trading range. Needs to get above 23.5, then your targets are 25 and 28. OMER breaks out with a breakaway gap, gets up to resistance and backs off that, fill that gap. Sure enough, runs right back up through the gap and forms a wedge. My targets now, 7.5 and 9. ONON broke out, we put a swing on it. Went from about 26 to 33.5, 3/4. Met my targets. Next target is 36.5 and 39. OPRA, beautiful rising channel, and has been in one since October. Look at that chart. Got creamed on Thursday, but held support. Right back up on Friday, gaining 211 or 21%. Very impressive recovery. Next target, 13.5. Oscar Health, long downtrend. I mean, long downtrend from the high 30s down to the $2 range. Then pop, pull back, breakaway gap, and a little bit of a consolidation lagging here. I'm targeting 8 and 9.5 next. OSUR, coming off the June low, which is 262. This stock has gotten up to over 7, almost tripled, and still looks higher. But there is some resistance about 7.5 my next target. PACB with an explosive move in July, and then a pullback and a falling wedge. Breaks out, falling channel. Breaks out, couldn't get the resistance, falling channel. Breaks out, couldn't get the resistance, flag. At some point, this is going to break the triple top, just keep going. Targets are 15 and 18 if that happens. Perion finally got hit after a long run, meeting our targets in the 40 range. Actually tagged 42.75. This pullback doesn't look good. It's below the moving average. It's below the short-term trend line, but above the long-term. Must hold 34. Stop under that. PLX, beautiful little low-priced biotech coming out of a base. Pop wedge, and then 1, 2, 3. It's long in the tooth, folks. It's gone from 1 to almost 3, but I think 3.35 and 4 may be targets. PRST exploded and pulled back in the wedge. There is some resistance up there, obviously. 4 3/4, 5. Something to watch. Target 6.5 and 8.5. PTGX comes out of a base after a long decline. Surges, pulls back, holds the prior high, forms a new trend line, pops out. You're going to need to get this one up above 29, excuse me, 24. BC 24.5, I should say. 27.5, 8, and 30 are targets. PTPI, another drug specialty stock with one huge monster day. April 14th, this traded 77 million shares and went from 140 to 850. And then accelerated at some point and reached as high as 9.25. Only to back off again. And now is in some sort of falling wedge. Key support, stop under 360.70. Breakout here, retest 8 or better. Maybe the measured move takes you into the low teens. It could be very powerful. You need to watch this one closely. RCEL, what an uptrend. Beautiful base breakout. Retest flag, breakaway gap. Pennant, pop, get up to my target, pull back. I don't think it's done. Targets are 19 and 23. Riot along with Mara still trending. It looks to me like if we get up through and your next target is 14.5, you might see 18, 19, 20. Ryovan, one of my top picks of the year, strong run up and now multi-month consolidation and now a setup for an important move and breakout. This flag here, if it gets up through 9, that's where I think we go to 11, 12.5, etc. In the restaurant sector, Red Robin with a 1, 2, 3, 4, back to the moving average and back to support and trend lines. Must hold the 12, 12.25 range. Snapback targets are 15.5, and then we extend to 19. Biotech RVPH with a pop, falling wedge, pop, and a little pullback flag, and then pop again. So a mini 5-way move, long coil, and a breakout. Near-term target 9.5. Another AI stock, SAI, exploded, pulled back, formed a wedge, and broke out last week. So what is this going to do? Well, Wednesday was a big day for it. Thursday pullback, on Friday snapback, all tell me that stock's going higher. If this opens strong on Monday, you may see the stock go quickly to 7, 7.25. That's my near-term target. SANA, a long downtrend for this biotech stock. Breaking out of it there. Moving averages cross over, now flagging, very bullish chart. Next target is 6.5, 7 3/4, and 9. SCPH, another biotech coming out of a base, but stair stepping up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up and out, falling wedge. We'll see what that means. Key support 8, targets 11.5 and 14. SCYX with a pop, pullback, and explosive gap. Literally went from $1 to 4, and now flagging their support. 4 and 5 are your targets going forward. SDGR, a favorite of Bill Gates. I think he was an early investor. Anyway, stair stepping its way up. We get to 30, targets 35. SCRA exploded, ran up hard, rising flag, and then a pullback flag. Nevertheless, support is about 3. Resistance is 4, 4.25, and your target is 4.25 and 5. Sigma Lithium pulled back off multiple tops. Key support now, SGML, would be 31.5. Your targets are 39, 42, and 45. Shopify coming out of a base where it appears it might be. Stair stepping up on a slow angle of ascent. Stop on a 44.5. Target is 52.4. Skechers broke out Friday. This is a massive move for that stock, and I think 55.5. We get to that, then it's 60, 65, 70. Could be a big winner. SONO channeling up 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th wave is underway with a target of 24.5. SQSP breaks out of a base, gives you a little wedgie, and then runs. Now flagging. Target 36. TBIO breaks out of a base, pops and forms a little flag, and it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking for a 5th wave to 4.5. Thread up. Tech trader swing. Popped pulled back from the wedge, broke out, top of the channel, backed it off, and now another falling wedge in play here. Target is 3 3/4 at 5. TERN is one of my top 20 picks of the year. It looks awfully good. It continues to look good. I now have a target of 17.18. TGLS, the tech trade a long swing, meaning it's been a swing for months now. Originally in the high 20s, it reached the high 40s, and now I'm looking for low to mid 50s. TGTX, powerful move, breakaway move. Tech trade a swing there. It's moved from literally from 10 to 27. Now with a target of 28, we may reach that quickly. Next target is 35, 37, 38. TNYA breaks out of a base, pops, it pulls back. This looks like a good setup for extension to 8 and 10 tonight. UIHC. Not my cup of tea normally, but what a great looking chart. And Friday was breakout day. So let's look back and see where resistance might be. Target 5 and 7. Viking, beautiful breakaway gap, coil. We went long right there around that 9 range back in January, and it made it to nearly 22, and it's setting up a flag and looking like 24.5 your next target. Meridian, one of my top picks of the year, pulled back like many biotechs, may be ready for after a 1, 2, 3, 4 for a big fifth wave to take it into the 40s. We'll see. PRNA is very similar with a 1, 2, 3, 4 and ready for a wave. They could take it into the low 30s and then low 40s. WVE a little bit, obviously a little less bullish here. Would have to take a move above 480 with volume for me to be excited. And I'm worried about this stock. We're concerned that if it gets under 345, it's done. Weight Watchers, we took a swing on it when it popped and pulled back. It was a beautiful result because it went from about 6 1/4 to 9.5, 50% move in a week, and then pull back. But look at it, it's coming on again. If this thing gets above the 990, 980, 90 zone, I'm looking for 11 and 12 3/4. XPO Logistics, great company. Coming out of the base, maybe, but there's big resistance up at 47. If that's your target, followed by 53. XPOF has been in a phenomenal rising channel since last June when it went from 11 to 33 and tripled. It's at a new all-time high set on Friday at 33.73, but I don't know if it's done yet. Even though it is near resistance, it could accelerate here. XPON, very spiky and thin, but now forming a beautiful bull coil that if it breaks out of it, it looked like it tried to on Friday. Keep an eye on this one over 5.5 at energy. You can see 6.5 and 8. YEXT has been in a beautiful rising channel since it broke out of flag in November, popped and flagged again, then had a pop and falling wedge. After retesting the trend line, it's trying to bounce in here, maybe forming some sort of wedge. See it? Breaking out of that, your targets are 9 3/4 and 11. And that's it. On the long side, we have some shorts to cover, and we'll be done. The shorts I want to discuss are, and there's just a few of them. BILL still forming a bear flag, folks. No matter what the market does, this looks weak. 60 and 50 are targets. CF broke down here from the bear wedge, a rising wedge, and it's coming down. Although it did bounce Friday, our target remains 63. CI broke down from the rising rose right there. We gave you a tech trader swing short near 300. It dropped down to 240 some odd, 247. It looks lower, 240 and 230 targets. CLFD, after breaking here and forming a bear coil, came down and formed another bear flag. Boys, this week, 130 some odd down into the 40s, and it still looks lower. Target 33. Capri, after this came down hard and formed the bear coil. We put a tech trader swing short on it near 50. It subsequently dropped to 40, bounced, and it's rolling over again. There's a double bottom down around 37. We break that, we're going down to 32.3. DDS, massive top form, but anyway, this bear wedge could not get through resistance and rolled over to form a bear flag. Should have rolled over here. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4. I would look for a fifth wave down to 250, maybe 225. In the oil sector, Dyno, big, massive rollover top. Sinclair looks lower to me, although it did bounce with some oil stocks on Friday. I'm looking for 41 and eventually 35. Fluorocorp broke a long-term rising channel and it's forming a bear flag. Not good. If this takes out 28, my target's going to be 24.5 for starters. Keys breaks down and forms a big bear coil. We went short. This time, we told you it should be short anyway. 159.60, quickly down to 139 and change. And he bounced up here to 149.50 would be a short for a move down to 130. NFE breaking a massive top and forming a bear wedge, forming another bear flag here. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth wave takes you down 21. PBH came down from the bear flag and then rose up from a rising wedge only to break it. We'll see. Easy stop over 64 and change. The targets are 58 and 54. Plexus broke down hard from the bear wedge. I said shorted. Tech trader swing short at 100. I subsequently dropped down to 84. My target is 77. TTGT, terrible chart, massive decline. This has gone from over 100 down to the 34 range. It looks like your next target is 29. VIX-X, bear flag extraordinaire. Well, it looks to me like this is going to be 36 and 29.30. And finally, VTLE, formerly starts with an L, Legend, or forgot the name of it. But anyway, bottom line is, you can see that it continues to stair step lower, and until it gets over 57 to cover, the target is now 38 and all the way down to 28.30. Maybe we'll see what happens with oil stocks. Folks, that's it. That's a look at the longs, the shorts, the technicals, the NASDAQ 100 generals, and some of the major index ETFs we follow. But a lot of information chock full of stuff for you to pay attention to. I would suggest reviewing this a couple times and picking out some stocks you feel like should be on your focus list. And of course, I'll have some more for your day trades on Monday. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.